Hello, my name is Darius McGee. I'm a descendant of the Kiowa tribe of Oklahoma. Currently, I live in Tulsa, and I'm just a 34-year-old guy, and just want to get some information to for myself regarding our tribe. There's some concerns out there, and a lot of people have some comments, and I think right now we're in dire need of just getting that direct information. So I'm sitting down with the chairman. How are you doing, Mr. Chairman? It's good to see you again.
Just fine, Darius. Good to see you.
What has been your primary focus during your time as the chairman?
Well, I mentioned two of them earlier about our school age children and our elders to make sure that they were well taken care of and they were taken care of in the future. It was always getting our tribe back on the right track so we can have our programs. Getting our programs back was a big thing. Putting tribal members to work. I mean, we only had about 60 people employed at the time when I started work. Now we have 160 people.
Wow.
Well, and we got all of our programs back, fully funded. The only one that we don't have is our transportation, and we're working on that. We should get cleared from that.
In this transportation, what does that consist of? Is it just help for roads?
It's a different program. Yeah, it helps with roads, bridges, and driveways. It's just to make sure that everybody's taken care of as far as our tribal members goes. I mean, the county commissioners only fix certain roads, so they give us some money to fix these roads, take care of that ourselves. And we got the manpower to do that.
A lot has happened for the tribe, and there's a lot of misinformation circulating. Can you help the tribal members today understand next and what the steps and plans are that you have?
Uh, uh, the bad information circulating out there is.
So I'm
I
thinking,
think people are misinformed. People are misinformed on what's going on. It's like I said, if you take this current problem that we're going through right now, if you take that away, our tribe's in a good place. They're in a very good place right now. We have certain individuals out there who have been let go from their jobs, uh, didn't get things that they wanted to get, and are causing havoc out there. If it's back in the old days when they had banishment, these people or Kiowa people are making trouble for the tribe that don't have the tribe's best interest at heart. I mean, we got to plan for the future. This is just not right now. I mean, we got to have these doors open, and if some of these things come to fruition that they want, it's going to hurt the tribe. It's going to hurt the tribe real bad. I mean, we're just now getting back on our feet. I've been there for 4 years, and we made tremendous strides as far as our programs go and everything we talked about a little bit earlier.
yeah, you mean that's detrimental who, people want to bring down or just give bad information to people that made it, make it, it just makes it terrible for, the value that a Kiowa tribe member has, like you were saying, the old days getting banned. I mean, I remember my grandma would tell me, don't shame us, don't shame our family name. We have come from a big name, and you don't shame us at all. And that's always been resonated in my head. And um, I hope that today we can help smooth this over where we can get these questions and answers that some people are seeking and not get that bad information that's out there. So, what is left to be compliant right now? I've read that there were some audit findings or some, when you were first elected and became the chairman of this new Kiowa Constitution, I know one priority was audits that were turned in from different years and everything. What is left to be?
Well, when I came into the office in 17, uh, I think the tribe just had their audits went up to the middle of 15, and we haven't had audits throughout that time. Right now, our audits are up to date. We just sent in the 19 audit to the clearinghouse, and once that's done, we can start. We're ready to start on 20 next year, and we're all caught up in that as far as compliance. The only thing that's not in compliance right now is our transportation, and we're waiting for resolutions. We're waiting on word from the BIA to give us this to release these funds to us. So we'll be ready. Everything we have will be ready for our services.
So during this, we're all suffering from the pandemic, or shall I say, we're all affected from this pandemic that that caused a lot of things that with the United States and the U.S. Treasury issuing out the CARES Act. Uh, who was responsible for getting the tribe the CARES Act funds?
But who was responsible for that? It's our executive branch and our team that we put together. As soon as this start happening, we sat there and said, be ready for all this funding. That if there's, they said there's some funding that may come out from this, some assistance, and we applied for all that. We got all this money ready to go. And it took us some time because we had to have guidance from the Treasury Department, policies, procedures in place, and make sure that we were in compliance and that this money is going to get audited. It's going to get audited, and if you're out of compliance, you're going to have to pay this back. We cannot afford to pay this back.
So when the money was given to the tribe regarding the CARES Act money, what time frame was that? Was it, I think March, somewhere in March, where they announced this CARES Act where people can apply for this? It seems to me that the executive branch was very did it in a quick, swift manner. Was the process pretty quick on your end, or were there some speed bumps even just applying for the COVID app?
Well, we start receiving this money in May, and it took us about a month to get all of our guidelines and our policies in place, and procedures in place. We had to make sure that we followed certain directives set down by the Treasury Department. And the four of the things they talked about was response, repair, preparedness. All these things caused by the pandemic. They sent down guidelines that for us to follow and make sure that we had to follow these guidelines, which we did. And that was, we had to identify those and stay with them within these guidelines. It took a lot of work to do that. All the team together, meeting 3 or 4 times a week, but we put our heads together and we come up with these policies.
Can you explain why the money was frozen during that time?
Well, as far as what I know is that we were getting the money, we were dispensing the money, and I think the legislatures felt that they should have a say or how this money is going to be spent. But according to our Constitution, they don't have a say. What the legislatures do, they make laws and they appropriate funds, and so they followed this injunction because they wanted to hand out a per capita payment of $1,000 to all tribal members. Well, we was kind of hesitant about that because that, like I said earlier, we're going to be audited with this money, and what it says is no per capita payments can be allowed to this. But as far as the legislatures are going, this injunction, it has been lifted. We're waiting for guidance from the legislature because of the court had ordered us to go ahead and start servicing the people again. But the legislature said that we need to give it out in a $1,000 to each tribal member in assistance with that. That to me, that's a per capita payment. Each individual member gets the same amount of money. That's a per capita payment. But we want to make sure before we do that it's legal. We need if they wanted to give us out, and I will give $1,000 out to each tribal member if that's what they want. But they got to make sure that this is done right. They do their due diligence as far as policy procedure goes. It's not against the law. They're not going to have to pay it back. If they do, who is going to pay it back? We want something from their attorney that says, yes, I approve that. Yes, I believe that this is done right. They're following the process that everybody else is. But I can't see that, and we haven't got any guidance from them whatsoever as to how they want to do this.
So I can summarize what you said, and I just want to make certain I'm clear, is that you're okay with Kiowa members to receive $1,000, but you need the collaborative information with the some type of guidance from legislation to say it's not a per capita, and it shouldn't violate anything for us, or we shouldn't be penalized later on down the road with any penalty from the government to pay that money back.
Yes, they need to give us. They need to give us some reassurance that they're responsible for everything that goes out. That's what we did. We did our program, and we would take ownership of that program. Anything that goes wrong with it, we would take ownership. We want them to do the same thing.
Why was the COVID help not included in the budget?
In my budget,
Yes, sir.
because the pandemic had not hit, and our budget was, when we met the deadline for our budget, which was at the end of January. We did not have the pandemic then. It was not there. Funding wasn't there. There was nothing there. And the only reason it's included in the legislature's budget, if I would have cut them off of their deadline 60 days to get their budget in, but I gave them an extension, and I gave them that extension, which is about a month and a half, 2 months, then the COVID money was available. They put it in their budget. Now, if I did not give them that extension, they never would have done that. That budget, they would have been in their budget either. But now that it's in there, and they gave it to finance, and they're trying to dictate to us what to do with it, it shouldn't even been in their budget in the first place if we didn't have that extension granted to them.
What was the original intention for the COVID funds?
Original intentions were to take care of our elders, pay for the food, utilities, and the virtual schooling for our children.
Mr. Chairman, can you explain to me the new COVID application?
Our application, or the one we're proposed to use by the legislators.
So it appears to me that if you go to the Kiowa Tribe website, there's one that was just updated yesterday or days ago.
Okay, that's the application from the legislature to disperse the $1,000 payment to all tribal members. I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's in compliance with the regulations set forth by the Treasury Department or what. That's just some questions that we wanted to ask their attorney, and for their attorney to verify that he is on board with the legislatures with this payment to everybody, that it's not a per capita payment, and that they're going to take responsibility for it, for any monies that have to be paid back, because it's going to be audited. The Treasury Department, they're going to make that determination whether or not this is an audit. And if he's so sure about that, then he needs to speak up and put this down in writing for us. And then we can go forth and distribute that money for them.
As we conclude our interview, Mr. Chairman, what is the one thing you want all tribal members to understand?
I would like for all tribal members to understand that I'm here because I care about the tribe. I don't care about anything else but to make sure that our children are taken care of, our elders are taken care of, and that our tribe is open in the future. We can't risk our livelihood on things that's may cost us in the long run. We got to keep our doors open. We can't fire people. We can't be doing these things, riffing people, having risks, closing programs. We tried too hard. We came back too far for this to happen again. I know that a lot of you knew the condition the tribe was in, but to be there with your feet on the ground trying to fix these things, I don't want to go back to that point again. I mean, that took years off the people's lives that were in there working on this stuff, because we cared and we were there. Same thing with the program, the COVID, the pandemic. We had people on my team that were there the next day working 9-10 hours a day. I think I mentioned that earlier. With that total disregard with their own being, just so our tribal members would be okay. And that's what you guys elected me for, the tribal members elected me for, and that's what I'm there for.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the time and all the great answers you gave to my concerns regarding the COVID, and also regarding just in general things such as some of your processes inside your executive branch. Just thank you so much for taking the time. And you always told me, just come and if you have any questions or concerns, call me or come see me. And your office is in Carnegie, and every time I go, I visit with
My
you.
door for all the negative comments and questions that are out there. My door is always open. I've said that from day one. There's never been anybody come in there that's making these complaints that came through my door to ask me.